This is the only factory in the world for Winston premium fly rods. We have been in this building since 1995. The history of Winston actually goes back to San Francisco, California, and that's where kind of the patriarchs of Winston came from, Lou Stoner and Robert Winther and Red Loscott. In fact, R.L. Winston, the name R.L. Winston comes from Robert Winther and Lou Stoner. R from Robert, L from Lou, Win from Winther, and Stone from Stoner. So that's the history as far as the name of Winston Rod comes from. As far as the material and fly rods, that goes back all the way to bamboo rod production. Lou Stoner, who was just an absolutely amazing gentleman, was a fisherman, but he was also a machinist, and he was very creative. And in fact, Lou Stoner, in my opinion, is probably the single most important person within the fly fishing industry, because he's the one that basically came up with the idea of a hollow fly rod. And that goes all the way back to about 1934, when Lou Stoner came up with the idea of fluting out the butt section of our bamboo rods. Back in those days, bamboo was the primary material for fly fishing. There were other materials available, such as solid steel rods, but bamboo fly rods were the primary material for fishing as well as tournament casting. Over the years, tournament casters started to use more and more Winston rods. That translated into fishing, and Winston very quickly was propelled into a very highly desired product, not only for tournament casters, but for fishing as well. In about 1948, a gentleman named Doug Merrick, who was a world-renowned caster himself, wanted to look into purchasing a bamboo fly rod. He was immediately hired to learn to build bamboo fly rods. And then in 1957, Lou Stoner died unexpectedly, and that left Doug Merrick as pretty much the sole owner of Winston at that time. Doug operated the company from about 1957 to about 1973, and Doug Merrick is really the one who we attribute a lot of the advances in material in fly rod manufacturing anyway, at least within Winston, such as fiberglass in the early 60s and then graphite in the late 60s and early 70s. Even to this day, we use a lot of materials in our fly rods, such as boron, to enhance the performance of fly rod manufacturing. So in 1973, Tom Morgan decided to get into the fly fishing industry. He purchased from Doug the company, and in 1976, Tom made the decision to move the company back to his home, basically, home of Montana. What's interesting about all of the previous owners and current owner of the company is all of them have been fishermen, all of them have been quality oriented, and that has been the focus of Winston Rod: produce the best quality product for specific fishing applications, and that has maintained itself all the way from Lou Stoner to the current owner, David Ondaatje.